Hello, welcome back. Hello, welcome back to Big Conversations with your girl, your host, T. Adeyemo. Thank you so much for joining us. We have an incredible night ahead, an incredible lineup. Um, our next guest, we've got Precious Majekodunmi, a very, 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 very dear sister and friend of mine. She's a leader at the University of Alberta. And we've got Gina Malaba. We are not sure if Gina will join us tonight because she's at work. If we do see Gina, hey, if we don't see her, it's okay. Now, a little bit about Precious Majekodunmi. In 2022, she graduated before 2022, but last year she won. Let's start with what she won. She won the Queen's Golden Jubilee Citizenship Award for incredible work in the community. Okay, she graduated from the Westwood Community High School, and our Precious, as you know, she's got it right. Great parents. She has also helped in our community by volunteering with the Northern Lights Regional Hospital, the Buffalo Food Bank, the Multicultural Association, the Nigerian Canadian Association, McCoy, the local library, and the YMCA. She's currently a research assistant at the Faculty of Nursing, University of Alberta, where she is a second year student studying nursing. Hello, Precious. How are you?
Hi.
Hey, hey, hey. Was that a brilliant introduction or not?
It was absolutely lovely and to the T of everything I've actually done so far. I'm so glad to be on the show today.
Yes, Precious. You're a black leader. You're a member of the BSA Black Student Association. Is that correct?
So actually at the University of Alberta, there's two Black Student Associations. So there's the one for the entire university, and then there's the one that's very specific to Black nursing students. And I'm the co-president of the one for the Black nursing students, but I am a part of the general Black Student Association as well.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have the co-president of the Black Nursing Student Association on our show, Precious Majekodunmi. Welcome again to Big Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So last a couple of weeks ago, the deputy premier he did a summit where he got all the black student leaders from across Alberta, and you were one of the leaders. Before we talk about that summit, let's backtrack a little bit into why you have been so active. Not that it's a bad thing; it's been a really good thing. So, what has led you? Because that's really exceptional into your volunteering and all that. Let's talk about how life, how you've what your journey has been.
Right. Thank you so much for that question. I think it's just like this journey started in grade 10, so like before grade 10, so attempting to enter high school. And usually when it's time to enter high school, you start to think of how can I become an exceptional student for universities, how can I make my university application stand out among students, but then also realizing that there wasn't a lot of Black representation in. So I have a flair for taking part in like volunteering and like leadership positions, but then I realized that there wasn't a high representation of Black students in these roles or Black people in these roles. So therefore, I was motivated to start getting involved in my community and taking more active positions so that I can serve as a role model and mentor for other Black youths who were also interested or had aspirations of becoming something greater.
Okay, okay. And so far so good. How has that worked for you?
It has been absolutely tremendous. I'm so glad that I've been taking an active position in my community because it's provided opportunities to meet others and it's provided opportunities to start conversations regarding how we can increase Black representation in different fields and careers.
Okay, when you talk about a lack of black people in leadership roles around community, and I'm really inspired and impressed. And I know we've talked about this. My daughter is going to hang out with you this summer so she can get
Amen.
a feel into what she needs to do, volunteering for high school and all that kind of stuff. And when you say there's an absence of black leaders, could you tell us a little bit more about the sort of spaces in which you go to and there is absolutely no black representation? And what are your thoughts about why this is so?
Thank you so much for that question. It's absolutely phenomenal. The thing that I've realized and that there are exceptional black people who possess the leadership capabilities, the leadership skills. They have every credential and qualities necessary to excel exponentially in these roles. However, I think there's a lack of transparency regarding some of these roles, or some of these roles aren't really advertised to retain black people into them. So therefore black people sometimes are either unaware of these roles, or aren't told about these roles, or aren't even retained for these roles, therefore they can't take on these positions. So I think just knowing that, no, that definitely black people are qualified to take on these roles. It's just either due to systematic racism or the workings of the society that prevents black people from being able to actually attain these positions and excel in it.
And that's generally symptomatic of is systematic of the community. I understand, for example, for teachers that
Right.
um, that the city is looking for more black teachers, but unfortunately, black teachers have stopped applying. And even
Right.
when they apply, they maybe are nonchalant because they've been turned down too many times. So they've
Right.
just turned the other cheek. They're not even looking there again, which is really sad because when you do move forward to when you put yourself out there, a lot of good comes out of it. I want you
Definitely.
to talk to us about some of the highlights of you're still in public service. What has been some of the highlights? And I know you've met the deputy premier. I wonder if you've met the premier as well. I know you've gotten the Queen's Golden Jubilee Citizenship Award. So talk to us about some of the highlights that you have enjoyed.
So so far, the highlights I've enjoyed, for example, was attending the Black Youth discussion hosted by Deputy Premier Casey Madu, and getting to meet her honorable. Sorry, I'm searching her name up to make sure I get it very, very correct. Miss Salma her honor her honorable Salma Lakhani. It was honestly an amazing opportunity to get to meet her. She also serves as a wonderful role model, and especially being a woman of color and seeing her in that type of position really reinforced to me that anything is possible no matter your color. But as long as you keep striving and working hard towards it, you too can achieve something amazing, such as what Miss her Salma Lakhani has also achieved and attained. Um, so some of those are some of the opportunities that I've gotten from like being in public service. But other opportunities just honestly includes being able to have conversations as to how we can advance black youths and black people, alongside just meeting other community members and getting to form a relationship and network with them.
Okay, so what are the problems facing black youths today?
Oh, that's That's a pretty deep question. I would say some of the problems that Black youth currently experience include so mental health. Mental health is certainly a big problem at the moment, for the reason that the Black communities, there is a stigma regarding mental health, which isn't necessarily our fault, but due to culture and um, ways of thinking, as well as previous biases, and just due to, as black people, we never want to display any form of weakness, so we think that mental health is like kind could be a form of weakness, therefore we try to shy away from it. But black youth are affected by this mental health issues as a result of not being able to have anyone who they can reach out to, can't not being able to reach out to family members due to the stigma around mental health. But with the work of black organizations, there's there has been a awareness and increase in the awareness of mental health, and an increase in services provided to black students that can help to enhance and improve their mental health. Another problem that black youths face currently would be just anti-blackness, or microaggressions in, whether it's at the university level, the high school level, receiving pushback when attempting to start new organizations that are black focused, as alongside just experiencing stereotypes or a lack of transparency around opportunities and resources that are provided to enhance black students. Oh, oh, Auntie T, you're muted.
I hear what you're saying about mental health amongst Black youth. So perhaps we're going to come to that, shine a spotlight on what could be the stresses in the Black youth community. I wanted to focus on some of the things you highlighted with the deputy premier. Did you want to talk some about that?
Sure. Um, so with the deputy premier, we discussed a diverse range of topics from challenges that we face in our undergraduate and high school programs, alongside what the government of Alberta, like what actions the government of Alberta can start taking in order to increase the advancement of Black youth. Whereby I myself, alongside the other panelists, suggested an increase in funding for students, alongside more creation of scholarships and the creation of programs such as Elite, which aims to increase Black youths in STEM, research, sciences, and programs so that they can excel exponentially within those programs. And we also pushed for creation of mental health services as well for Black students. Another thing we talked about during the discussion with Deputy Premier Casey Madu included, sorry, what else did we talk about? Included, sorry, I'm like, it was quite a long conversation. So we also talked about increasing funding for small communities, especially Black students in small communities, due to the reason that small communities or rural communities might be more white populated, but usually Black students have minimal funding within those white populated communities to start Black events or Black programs. Therefore, we push for the government to increase fundings for those areas so that there can be an increase in Black programs and opportunities within those communities as well.
Mm, thank you. I don't mean to be a pessimist, but I wanted to reflect a little bit more on mental health problems
Right.
facing Black youth. That touches me because I mean our youth are the future, right? Uh,
Right.
what could be causing and what could be triggering this mental health issues in your opinion?
Hmm. What could so I feel like a lot of factors can contribute to influences on the mental health of Black youth. One thing that would certainly be a factor would be within the Black community. Our parents usually push hard for us to succeed, to make sure to accomplish to the highest order, and really reinforce having to work 4 times harder than our peers so that we can truly succeed and excel in our academics. And it's not a bad thing. It's truly a wonderful thing that our parents really encourage us to succeed. But it certainly can impact the mental health of Black youth, for the reason that when you do achieve, you're no longer able to celebrate those wins or see it as something special, because you're always on to the next and you're chasing the next biggest thing. So that can affect your mental health in terms of you being more competitive and striving to really attain what's next, what the next best thing, the next best thing, and not being able to just sit back and really celebrate your accomplishments, celebrate what you've achieved. So therefore, in that regard, it kind of affects your mental health, for the reason that you don't celebrate the little wins in life. And another impact on the mental health of Black youths would be the George Floyd, witnessing George Floyd's death. That was significant. That was a significant moment, I think, in the mental health of many Black youths. The COVID-19 pandemic was it became more serious when the death of George Floyd occurred, for the reason that whenever Black youth would go on social media tools such as Instagram or Snapchat, there was always the video being shown of the police officer stepping on George Floyd's neck, or just seeing a lot of posts regarding Black Lives Matter. And then it just reinforced that as much as we would like to think that there's been advancement for Black people, racism does still occur. Therefore, we need to continually work towards alleviating racism and combating it to the highest order.
I hear what you're saying, and it's really sad. I dare say, and shocking because I was just speaking to Dr. Love. I don't know if you heard any of that, where she said we tell our children, and you are like our children, to work
Right,
4 times, 10 times harder, and it's a part of racism, and that sort of lifestyle is not healthy even.
right.
It's not healthy even. And I just wonder, do you think there's enough government support? Do you think what can be done about it? Is anything being done about mental health of Black youth? I know these are a lot of questions.
No,
If you don't have the answers, I understand. But what are your thoughts?
I think the government could certainly do more, because most of the initiatives currently present to help Black youths are initiatives being jump started by Black people. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it shows that Black people are starting to take the initiatives themselves due to the lack of support that they've previously received from the government, because they realize that they need to step up in order to advance their communities. Therefore, the government of Alberta can also start to take actions by creating more funding. Since Black communities have started to take initiatives, therefore, the government of Alberta can start providing funding to further support these organizations and communities so that they can create more programs, create more resources, create more opportunities for the enhancement of Black youth as well as the enhancement of Black immigrants.
Yeah, one of the things I remember Deputy Premier was saying is that for Black organizations, for Black youth to receive help, you guys need to come together and form not for profits and
Ooh,
package yourself. I remember him saying
wow.
that package yourself in a way so you can get grants, because there are some grants out there that I'm just wondering if youths know, people know, in people know about it to apply. But I did remember him saying that the government will want to give money to
Mhm.
structureless organizations. What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much for that. Funny enough, when Deputy Premier Madhu was talking about these grants, I'm alongside the other panelists. We're looking around and we're like, oh wow, we've never heard of these grants. We didn't even realize that they were existing, or that we needed to be a nonprofit organization in order to be able to qualify for these grant funding. And I feel like one thing that had us worried is because in order to even attain these funding, there's going to be a lot of process involved, which, as much as we would love to start these non-for-profit organizations, we're all still students, and with the workload of being a student, it really makes you question if we would be able to handle the process involved within applying for these grants.
It's not overwhelming. Okay, we can have this conversation, and I think what you probably need to discuss with your leadership team is succession. It's not difficult at all because there were a lot of you at that summit, right? It's not impossible as well. And the premier did leave. The deputy premier also left his mobile number. He said, if you
Yeah.
needed help, call me. He has a lot of people. The
Mhm.
government, is well oiled. They will support you. So I think it's something your leadership, you need to look into. The support is there. There are grants as well. I think they want to give money, but they need to know how they're doing it. So it's
Right.
well worth it to email this team for
Sure.
support. But I can, even me, at the end of this, I can show you one or two things that you can do immediately, um, you know, to combat that funding problem. So a question someone asked that I remember, and the girl said, "Oh, we do a lot of work. We do a heck of
Mhm.
a lot of work in the community amongst ourselves, and there's no one paying us for. No one is seeing what
Right.
we do, and it's emotionally exhausting work." Um, is this the way you feel when you do the host the lot of community work you do?
um So usually when I do the community work, I'm very excited and glad to be able to do it. But I do agree with the point of it being taxing. That is it, it can definitely be taxing and require a lot of you emotionally. And I think what my friend was referencing that day was, I think she was expecting to hear something like that maybe Casey Madu or the government of Alberta could create more opportunities within the government, like within the government, whereby Black youths are able to, because she was expecting, she was discussing compensation, but not in terms of monetary compensation, more so compensation in terms of, so now that we know that they're Black leaders, maybe there could be creation of programs and courses to further enhance those leadership skills that these Black youths already possess. So really tapping into those skills in terms of compensation, so tapping into those skills and those skills so that these Black youths are well equipped to be able to succeed in their careers and future journeys of life, or within graduate level programs as a result of the compensation that they've received, if they do receive any compensation.
Yikes, I hear you there, but I'm not a politician and I'm definitely not a spokesperson for Deputy Premier Madu. I will send him a clip of this, we'll put it on YouTube and hope his people pick it up. I definitely think he left his email. You should
Right.
email and carry on the conversation. I definitely think he's worth exploring. The way you've said it is a whole. My job tonight is not to speak for him. I'm not the government. I don't know anything. I just attended the summit and I love the representation, you, your team. And I heard what you guys were saying. Maybe I didn't hear it enough. And I wanted you to come and talk about what it's like being a Black youth leader. And that's why we're here today. But I think in terms of moving forward from the summit, I think you should email you
Mm-hmm.
should email your thoughts, put it in a proposal, and there are ways around this, and we can have that conversation um, at the end of this off hair. And now, if you had the attention of the premier, what would you say? If you had 10 minutes with the premier or the deputy premier, what would you say to her? What would you say to Deputy Premier Casey Madu?
What would I say? I would say, what can we start doing to enhance, to advance Black youth? It's extremely important to to make sure to equip Black youths with the skills, the net, and the knowledge necessary to become community leaders, and also to increase the capabilities of Black youths to be involved within governance and politics due to the low presentation currently present.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is important is, do you feel the government is listening though? Do you feel you are stepping on the right waters?
Wow, that's a tough question. Um, do I feel the government is listening? I don't want to step on any toes, but from what I've seen so far, just from Deputy Premier Madhu, I would definitely say that Deputy Premier Madhu was certainly listening, and he cared enough about listening to the voices of Black youths, and really demonstrated an interest in wanting to work together with Black youths and uh, figure out what the next step could be. So I really do appreciate that from his aspect. And I guess in terms of Deputy Premier Madhu, and since he is part of government, we could say that the government is listening from what Deputy Premier Madhu hosted with the youth discussion. But there's definitely more that could be done by the government. We definitely could increase the amount of programs provided. And I know you talked about the funding earlier for nonprofit organizations, but maybe instead the government could decide to start doing scholarships or bursaries for students specifically. That way, there isn't a need to attach an organization to it, but students can utilize it to pay for tuition and just excel in their academics.
I hear what you're saying. There's definitely a lot the government can do without forming not for profit
Right.
or anything. Yeah. And I understand that. I know that this government increased tuition fees. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. So how bad is that? Is that a big problem? Does your loan cover it? Talk to me about that, please.
um, it's the tuition increase has really it's really impacted students, even myself. For example, I felt like this summer I need to just sit down, really strategize how I'm going to be able to come up with the money to be able to pay for tuition um in the upcoming semester. As for example, at the University of Alberta, our tuitions have increased by 5.5%. It seems minimal, but depending on the amount of tuition that we already pay, it's going to be a significant amount. And I can't imagine how much more it would be for international students who already paid three times what domestic students usually pay. And even with the current economy, with inflation present, it's going to be hard to be able to balance paying for tuition but being able to upkeep and maintain your normal day-to-day lifestyle.
Yeah, but at the summit, people didn't raise this tuition problem. People didn't talk about it. Or did they talk about it and I missed it?
No, that's because the tuition increase occurred after the discussion, sadly. I wish it was before, because then we could have really delved deep into it with Deputy Premier Madu and really figured out the logistics around it and discussed further. But sadly, the tuition hike didn't happen until much later. So sad that it was a much later decision made.
So is the tuition hike a provincial problem or University of Alberta problem? Please educate me here. Who is responsible for that hike? Is that the university itself or the problem?
So the government cut, I don't want to say use the word cut, but the government of Alberta did reduce the funding that they normally provided to the University of Alberta, which then resulted in the University of Alberta increasing student fees so that they can continue to provide the same services that they usually provided. But I would say that the problem initially started from the government of Alberta cutting some funding from the University of Alberta. Then it created a domino effect where students were now expected to pay more for their education as a result of the initial funding cut for universities.
How has this affected Black families, you think?
Whew, um,
Or Black students, their ability to enter university? Do you see maybe registration would reduce as a result of this?
I honestly think it could, like registration could decrease for the reason that black students might decide to either take a gap year where they can work fully and make enough money to be able to afford tuition in the next year, and then there's definitely going to be a rise in student loans, and it's either black students result to getting an increase in student loans for the new semester, but it's definitely going to be a very interesting situation as we move forward.
I am getting an in depth. I can see what you're saying. A couple of years ago, when I lived in England, they increased tuition fees. International students were paying like maybe 9,000, 10,000 pounds, and home students were paying like 1,000, two
Right.
thousand pounds. So I think the Tory government came in and home students started to pay like 9, 10,000 pounds, and that's simultaneously cut the number of students who were going into university, and it impacted for a little bit Black
Wow.
immigrant families. But what I see is Black children are saying that, look, the way out of generational poverty is university.
Finishes.
We're gonna find this money. We're gonna go to university because you can't break the cycle of
Right.
poverty if you don't go to university. And I
Definitely.
also understand that you get into a lot of debt, and it'll take you years to pay off the debt. And I hear the argument that you can try being an apprentice, you can try other routes. You don't need to go to university. Your thoughts? I saw the look on your face. What do you think?
Um, right. Usually the argument is that yes, people can go to apprenticeship, and but I feel like in order to do that, the student would need to started that process a little bit in high school, like because even in high school a lot of my black friends didn't really demonstrate an interest in the trades. So it's whenever people do say that, I'm like, well, yes, we could consider that route, but even me growing up, I the trades was never really a consideration for me, just because my aspirations has always been going into healthcare and medicine and things like that. So I think the trades usually are a great option as well. But I definitely think more black families, we are usually more aligned towards going with the 4 year university route. It's just it feels ingrained in like a usual process to expect, especially just hearing from other families in the community and knowing that their children also utilize the 4 year university route and not trades. So it's more common to see 4 years than utilizing the trades route and then pivoting back to university.
So, what is the hope for students? What's the future for our youths?
I think the youths really do have a bright future, especially with the increase in black leadership. especially Black youth leadership at the moment. And I've definitely noticed that Black youths are starting to take initiatives themselves. So as much as we would love the funding from the government and support from the government, I've definitely seen that Black youths have also started taking actions on their own to really advocate for students and becoming more involved in student governance so that they can provide a voice and provide Black perspectives on certain issues which significantly affects the Black community.
Precious Majekodunmi, you are a powerful advocate for, excuse me, a powerful advocate for Black students. You are the co-president of Black Students Nursing Association at the University of Alberta. I want to say thank you so very much. You've spoken beyond your years. You've been amazing. You've been an incredible guest on the show. We miss Gina, Gina Malava. Maybe she'll join us another time. But I want to say thank you so very much for your advocacy and for your time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I had an amazing time. I hope
Yes,
you enjoy your day.
hopefully we'll do this again. Thank you so very much, Precious. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Okay, so that was incredible, Precious Magic could do me. She won last year, okay, the Queen's Golden Jubilee Citizenship Award for her incredible work in the community. She's a research assistant and she's also a second year student of nursing at the University of Alberta. I want to say a big thank you to Precious for her wisdom, for the work she does, for taking time out of our Saturday night to enlighten us about what it's like being a youth leader, what it's like being a student, and the effect of the tuition hike as well. You know, it hits real when you hear Precious talk about it. And when you hear talk about anti-racism as well, that youth are having mental health problems because they're working 4 or 5 times harder. And as a parent, I feel guilty of this because many times I tell my daughter, you have to work hard, and what I need to be careful now is that I don't stress up my daughter in a way where she's got mental problems because um, of all these concerns propelled by I dare say the very difficult environment, the very difficult, highly racialized, competitive environment we found ourselves. But we must break the cycle of mental health stress that we bring upon our children because of the environment we found ourselves. If you're new to Ladies Corner Canada Media, can I please ask that you subscribe? It's a Saturday night, and I know you're watching from the comfort of your home. Subscribe to our channel. You don't have any money to pay, so please subscribe. We'll appreciate that.